All right, everyone, welcome back. We are working on our electrical house in Revit, and I am ready to make an attempt to create a panel schedule for this panel which will read out where each circuit is coming from and list a bunch of data according to that. So let's get started. Step one is I'm going to create a drawing sheet and I'm going to place level 1 as a view on it. So I'm going to pick my only standard drawing title block and I'm going to drag level 1 on. No idea what scale this is and I don't really care. So I'll kind of just drag this down to a corner. I'm going to now hide these elevation markers. Hide the category, deactivate the view, and bring my view titles and view to a reasonable place. Kind of get my standard 1/4 inch equals a foot view. And we're ready to start thinking about that panel. The panel should take a little space, so I'm making room for that in the upper right. Okay. So these panels are pretty straightforward normally. If I go to, I think it's view, let's see, schedules right here, it should be pretty easy, and I could come down and I could look for something like a panel schedule. And guess what? It's not there. So panel schedules are a little tricky. They don't get installed using this schedule command, which just makes absolutely no sense to me. But if I hover over here to click on my circuit, and when that circuit is highlighted, I thought that's where it was. So let's try clicking on the panel. Yep, I guess I'm clicking on the circuit panel. And that's where create panel schedule is. Revit decided they needed to hide this electrical schedule in a different way. So I'm going to say I want to use a default template, and here's the issue. If I were to continue forward with this, I would just get an error. And the error arrives because there is no active electrical panel schedule in architectural template-based files. And last year, of course, when you started this house project, you started it in an architectural template. So we don't have an active panel schedule as a template family inside this project. So we need to put one in. And, by the way, the panel schedule is a system family, and we've touched on this once or twice inside of class, but system families are sort of intended by Revit not to be seen and not to be heard, and so Revit makes them difficult to work with. Of course, there's always workarounds. So here's what we're going to do. I actually am going to close this background. So we have our project open. I have level 1. You may have your house open, and it doesn't matter what view. Let's see what view you have. I guess you just want to make sure you have your panel schedule sitting here. And we need to open or start a new file. What we're going to do is we're going to start a new project, and we're going to start that utilizing an electrical template. And then we're going to copy the panel schedule from that electrical template into this file. So let's do that. So I'm going to exit out of this view and get back into paper space. All right, so here's my title block, my sheet. And what's going to end up happening is this panel schedule that we create is going to create a whole new category called panel schedules, and it's going to show up right in there when we get it. All right, so following instructions that are posted on Blackboard, this document called panel schedule setup is I'm going to create a new file, a new project. And when it comes to my template, I don't want any of these three basic standards. I want to browse for an electrical template. So I'm going to do that. And of course, right here in the default folder is an electrical template. Electrical default works great for me. I'm going to click open. And when it opens after I click OK, it is going to bring up, I think, a lighting view. And we're going to see that as a new tab up here. So we'll just wait to see when that happens. And there's that lighting view. Okay. So I don't need to do anything in this file. I just need to have it open. So now I'm going to come back and click back into my project file. I'm looking at this drawing view. Again, remember this title block and the wall that I put in. And now I'm simply going to head to a command here, and I am going to head to my manage and then transfer project standards. Okay, so this is something we haven't touched on at all, but it's a way to get some system families from one file to another. So I'm going to do transfer project standards, and I have a really significant list of all of these individual items that I can transfer if I would like. Of course, they're all pre-checked. I'm going to check none and go find the panel schedule, right? It's alphabetical, so it's under P, panel schedule. There's three options, and we want the branch panel version. So I'm going to check that, and that's all I want to transfer in and nothing else. And click OK. And I clearly want to overwrite my existing options because I do have some other stuff in there. But of course, they all need to be overwritten. So I'll leave that there. And I now have that panel schedule template in my project. And let's place it. So I come down, activate this view, click on my panel. And now when I say create panel schedule, I can go ahead and use the default template. And I'm pretty sure it should work. And by the way, I get a new tab. This new tab is the schedule itself. And notice over here in my project browser, there's a new category called panel schedules. And I see that, and it is a 225 amp, 120, 208 volt panel. And by the way, I already have a circuit. It is hooked up to a 20 amp circuit breaker. There's one pole, and it can carry 540 volt amps. We're not going to talk about what that is now, but we'll cover that in a later video. All right, so what I'm going to do, right, I just want to get this into my file and get it set up. So I'm going to close this tab. I still have my panel schedule over here in the project browser. I'll zoom out, get back into Paperspace, and drag my panel schedule on. And there it is. Okay, so the last piece of project setup that I want to cover is at this point in the project, we're ready to start building some circuits. And so my recommendation on a workflow is that each time I build a circuit, I come over to my panel and edit this panel. I thought if I double clicked on it, it would activate. I guess I'm going to go back to the basic panel, and I'm going to want to rename this thing. And I'm going to make up a name and say that, let's say, this is Great Room Outlets. Right? I can just go in and rename that thing. There's real value in this because this panel is what the electrician is going to use to wire up the physical circuit panel inside the house. So now I come back to my drawing and that name has updated and it's a 20 amp single pole, blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to suggest that the workflow is create a circuit, name it. Create the next circuit, name it. And by the way, what's going to happen, I believe, is that the next circuit we create would come over here into pole number 2. So there's one last thing that is important to make sure that you do, and I'm going to go to View, User Interface, and turn on my system browser, right? So there is, as we build our circuits, right, we want to understand what exactly is happening here. If you create a circuit and maybe delete some of the things in your graphics, you want to make sure that they disappear in your browser as well. So going step by step, creating a circuit, seeing it created in the system browser, making sure it goes to the correct place, and seeing it listed in the circuit panel and renaming it will really help your organization as you create these circuits. Okay, so that concludes the file setup. We're ready to build a bunch of circuits, and I will be covering that a little bit in some additional videos in a different section. I'll probably be working up on the second floor because in my file I still have some work left to do before that's 100% complete. So those will be that's where my focus will be. Hope this is helpful, and we'll see you in the next section of videos.